You're listening to Elevate, powered by Marmiro Stones. Real stories, real insight, whether you're designing the dream, building it, or living it, we're here to spark ideas, share knowledge, and move the industry forward. Let's get to work.
The day before that meeting, like we found out that we were pregnant, and then we were expecting Damon, and Heidi was just like
That was number
basically-
2, right? Damon's
It
your
was
middle?
number 2,
Yeah, that's
and I
amazing.
couldn't go home even talk to her, and then it was just basically it was like a big shock to me because at the young age, like being alone and then having a pregnant wife at the house, it was just like I didn't know what to do. And then the closest people to me was my business partner and his family, and they were in a different continent, 7-hour time difference. So I didn't want to even just call them. So it was one of the toughest days of my life probably. And then the getting up to be able to get up and then walk and then go to your car and drive back home was probably the toughest thing that I've ever done. Yeah.
So at that point, then you had to say, okay, we have X amount of millions of dollars in receivables that's probably already on the water, right? Coming to the U.S.
Yeah.
What do we do with this material? How do we do it? How do we move it? And one thing that stuck with me, you told me the story, and I think it needs to be said because you had 2 options at that point.
Mm-hmm.
What were those 2 options?
One was bankruptcy. It was an easy fix. It's just at the end of the day, we had a lot of, the vendors that we owed to. And then but our receivable was very, very high because we worked on a mass production, high volume, and then high risk, and then low margin prototype. I mean, our model was very risky from the beginning. In order to think big and then create big, we had to cut a lot of our margins because otherwise we couldn't go to these, the locations. So it was tough because one was say bye to the industry maybe in that state or in that country and then maybe relocate and then start a new one, which I never thought about it. There was one option on the table. People were telling me you can file bankruptcy and you don't have to pay anybody, and then you go to legal system for your receivables, and then you'll find out what happens, and then you'll be fine. Nothing will happen to you. And the other one was basically keeping the company float, and then just learning it this time directly with the end user, which companies like Wellington, SJ Pools who was with us today, and then just understand your stone first, and then forget about what the corporate world wanted you to do or that type of model, and just go back to the product first and talk to the product, and then just say sorry, I made a mistake all these years. Then I had to apologize from all our products because here I was trying to take mother's creation and then just mother nature's creation, and then just because somebody wanted me to do it in that size, in that finish, and then in that packaging techniques or the systems, I had to force certain products even though they didn't want to be. And then it was just it wasn't right. It was all money driven, it was all profit driven, and it was all volume driven, and then we didn't listen to the product itself. So when I was just let loose, and then I just said, okay, now that mindset doesn't work, it never works. And then I learned a tough lesson. I'm just gonna go to the end user with higher margins so I can have room to grow, and then less risk. I'm not gonna give too many receivables out. I'm not going to just take too much risk. And even if I'm going to take risk, I'm going to spread it into, 200 buckets rather than one bucket, instead of putting all your eggs in one bucket, or basket, right? So the model became, okay, we're out. We're at the job sites. But everything was based on the opposite direction. Mm-hmm. So it took me a while to just go carry samples and go to job sites and then say, would you like to buy from us? And then what is that? It's a natural stone. Why would I want to buy it? And I'm because it's natural stone. And then what's the advantage then compared to blue stone? And I would be it's just it's not hot to the feet. When you step on it, your feet, they don't burn.
Right.
And then they would be yeah, but do you have treads? I'm no. I mean, do you have a slabs? No. Do you have the the veneer? I'm no. And they would say why would I buy from you? I contact the local quarries, and then I can get whatever I want within 1 week. And then you don't even have inventory. So to me, you're a big risk and you're too young. And then they said, You got to prove yourself first. So it took me like a while to just figure out how to prove. And then like I realized that if you put your energy into a smaller circle, like Wellington said, like the earlier today at the show, I mean, like, it's just like, he just like goes to one street, says hi to one client, and the stop sign, he sees another one, and then he visits 2 job sites in 15 minutes. So that's what I had to do. I had to go into a small market and then start, like basically building my network, and then like a spider. And it was like so that from street to street, like, from town to neighboring town, I could just like be very efficient and gain trust. And then people just started giving me like some kind of like, opportunity. So the more I proved myself, the more people talked about me, and then the more people talked about me, the more popular I became, and then the person to trust in certain markets. And then they said, if you call Mo, he'll just guide you to the right option, because I always followed our core values. And then like, it's just like the core values of our company just basically guides you to do the right thing, because number one is like do the right thing. So I think I gained the trust of a lot of people, very important, influential people in the industry, like very early, like very quickly. This is happening in 2010.
But I also think the important thing to understand here is the mindset that he had, that we were not giving up.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to do what we can do to prove that we've got this. We're not giving up on anybody. We're not giving up on the factory. We're not giving up on Marmiro. We're not going to just put our hands and just fold the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been the easiest thing to do.
For sure.
So he used to fly, because we lived in Florida at the time. So what he's describing is everything that's happening up in New York area. So he used to fly on a Monday and come home on a Friday back down to Florida. So he was gone during the whole week.
You guys are still living in Florida.
We're still living in
while
Florida.
While you're trying to build the business up north.
So he would do that, and he did that for, 8, 9 months?
Yeah, almost a year. I was flying back and forth because back then, if you all remember, I mean, like some of us can remember, some of us maybe, like can't. But I mean, like, it's just like in that period when the financial meltdown took place, the only part of the country that was still consuming and high-end products and still building was the Northeast. It's just like in the Long Island market and Connecticut market, then even North Jersey, like there was still like construction going on. But if you went to like if you went to Florida and like the southern states where we were very much like like selling prior to our crash, it was just like it was just like basically like that was the only option for me to go.
Yeah.
So what I did is like I told Heidi, I said like, look, in New York market, I see a lot of consumption of, like the similar products. And at least there I see like, some kind of movement still. It's not like, like the bloodbath like other states. I'm like, I'm going to fly there. So I started flying every week and started knocking on doors and then just try to clean the company a little bit. We had a small location there, like 3 people operation that was selling leftovers from our interior product line, nothing exterior, only interior, those little tiles that I was telling you about. And then they were all like, always in red every year. And then we didn't pay attention to it because like we were very busy in the southern states selling our outdoor product line. Right. So indoor, we didn't pay attention that much. It was okay. It was helping factory to move out there, like basically, like the second quality, third quality products into like, if like some buildings that can afford like that kind of product. So it was a perfect system for that purpose, but it became our life vest during the crisis because that was the only place I had at least someone that represents our company, and they can pick me up from the airport. I can grab a car and then go see a job site that's still moving in the country. So that's why I came almost 12 months, like, every week. And then like, and then at one point Heidi said like, our family needs you. And then it's been a long time. If you think that the future is north, like, would you like to move? And then I said, absolutely. I said, the future is north. I like it. There's more challenging, and then nothing is easy. And then, Florida was too easy for us. And then it was like, people say, like, how come you just, like, move from south to north? People usually do the opposite.
Yeah.
But back then, being a father and then, like, and then seeing the opportunity for the business, I said, just like, I like the challenge, too. I said, it's more difficult. There's freeze and thaw. The people are going to appreciate our high quality more up north than any southern state. And because it was like it didn't matter like what the competition did. If the price was lower, anybody in South would just go to those routes because like they didn't understand the importance of quality in production and raw material because they didn't have freeze and thaw conditions.
Right.
So when I came up here, they said, "Oh, like your product is strong enough." Like I'm like, "What do you mean?" So I got to test it. So I started learning about technical specs, and then I started surrounding myself with good people who teaches me how to install. And then like then I realized that if I just create a product line that's going to be accepted in this climate, then I'm going to separate myself from majority of the manufacturers because they don't even know what's going on in the industry. They just manufacture and send, and then they don't know how to track the quality and then longevity of their products in this climate. So that took us to another level also. I started with only strong marbles, and I didn't take any risks, no travertines in the beginning. And then I said, like, if I have one shot, it's got to be right. And then it's, and I just stick to like 2-3 different marbles, and then that's how I launched it, in the beginning. Then after that, we started taking risks. So of course, as you know, we had some, bad experiences with certain products, but we learned that, it's not only the product itself, like it's 3 layers to success, which is maintenance, like the installation in the bottom, stone itself in the middle, and then the maintenance on top. But but it took a while. I mean, in the beginning, I had to prove myself, and I had to build that trust.
So when you moved, when did you move the family up? 2011.
April of 2011.
So from 2008, when the company pulled the plug,
yep,
you were trying to build everything up here. Family moved up. Everyone moved up. 2011. You have 2 children now at this point,
2.
right?
That
2.
one.
Yep.
Yeah. Third one's coming a couple years, right?
Yep.
After that.
After that.
After that. But I guess from there, how did, because when the recession hit, you're like, okay, nobody knows who I am, right? You said you had to prove yourself. When did you realize you had to start building a brand and naming names and trademarks and built Marmiro? Like, what was the vision at that point?
The next day that I was told that it was over, I had to build something to hold on to. Otherwise, I couldn't,
You could have seen yourself doing it all.
Yeah,
the
next day, once you feel like you're betrayed, or like, you just like everything that you've done is just basically, it just like was not the way you want it. Because the way it was handled was very unprofessional also, and it wasn't very well respected. Like, it wasn't like, how can we survive all together? It was more like, you're on your own, and bye. And then everybody looked me in the eye and said, bye. And then, and they said, how do you feel now? And then I said, I feel okay, but I'm worried about you guys. And they said, why? And then I said, I have seen zero. I said, we just like basically almost come from zero, like, because, everything started from my garage, and then from my, like the house, and then like a small warehouse, and then small office. So it was just like, we know how to go back and then make it, build it from scratch again. And then like, and even though my business partner's family was, like very successful, like the manufacturing family and quarry owners in Turkey, the way we started here was just basically from scratch. And we wanted to do as low as it can be, and then we build it piece by piece like Jenga, right? So what happened is like, I wasn't worried about ourselves. I had a very strong wife at the house, and then I trust, and then I know she's capable of great things in life, and then she gives me strength more than anybody else. And then I had an amazing partner and his family in Turkey that just like, that was unconditionally loving me and then supporting me also. His wife is, like the whole parents and so on. So the bridge was so strong. And then I told them that I said, it's going to take 10 years. I said, we have 2 options, bankruptcy or 10 years. 10
this
years.
Was 2008.
This was 2009 and 10 now.
Okay.
Because 1 year we waited for them, they dragged us, and they said it's going to get better.
Okay.
We have it in the news. Don't worry about it. It's going to get better. They just paid a little bit, and they stopped us. I mean, they dragged us 1 year, and then just they were hoping that it was going to get better.
Yep.
And then end of 2009 and beginning of 2010, I said, this is it. No more. I'm not getting to, I don't want to believe in, even though I wanted to believe in those stories. I said, wake up. There's no more changing for a long time. You got to get up and then, take the driver's seat.
Yep.
So I took the driver's seat in 2010, and then I told the family that, it's going to take 10 years probably. And I need a lot of support and patience. Trust me, and then I'm going to knock on every door, and then I'm going to try to, build this one the right way now this time, which is going to the contractor, not to, like the other direction.
To a mass distribution.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, to distribution, because I needed the margins. We had a lot of payables, and then receivables. Receivables were not even coming in, so the payables had to go out. So I had to just like grab, like if I received like 2,000 square feet of hardscape material, I had to sell it at the contractor level so that those, like 30-40% margin extra that I made was good enough to at least keep the creditors and the vendors like happy, and then like a little bit of it went to factory and a little bit of it had to stay here, so that we could just at least build a team and then like buy at least some resources so we can grow the business.
Yeah.
So I had 3 buckets that I had to throw the profit, and then everybody was like wanting more, and then so at that point you couldn't go to distribution because there was no margins, and the margins were not enough to satisfy everybody.
Yeah.
Which in a way that it was good because it pushed me to go to the contractors. I learned a lot very quickly. I spent days and nights like in job sites, in booths, and then understood what the material needs, and then understood what the market needs, and then what we need to do. And with the support from Turkey, and I think the faith that they had in me, and then the trust that they had in me, they said, not a problem, we'll do it. Not a problem, we'll do it. And then it took us 4 or 5 years probably to build like the product line to a level of like that I could probably go to like a contractor and say, what can I do for you? This is deep blue. Would you like it? And then they said, yeah, I want it. What would you need? Do you want countertops? Do you want just like, driveway pavers? Do you want the veneer? And is it a modern or transitional? Do you want antiqued or sandblasted? So do you want waterline tiles? So those were like the great years that I started enjoying and saying, okay, now we're in the right path, because I'm not just like, compared to you just like, like the local companies. And then at that point, decisions made because I lack so many different products and services that other people gave.
You're more free.
I was free. I was like, the product was gaining traction, gaining brand awareness, and then like, succeeding. And some architects started saying, oh, I tried it 2 of my jobs. I loved it. Like it's a good product. And that was like, and the referrals started flying all over us because we were doing the right things.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think, just being on the outside coming in to this whole new industry from, I had no experience at all, and just still learning every single year. Looking back on it, the industry didn't have anything like Marmiro. We talk about that Marmiro experience, but that Marmiro experience started at the very, very beginning of when he came up to New York.
Yeah.
He was giving that experience. He was listening to people. And I feel like in this industry, people don't get that. They don't tell you. They don't get the opportunity to say, this is what I need on my job site. I need this size, or I need this thickness, or I need your ideas. Like, everybody just wants to sell, like we spoke about before. They want just to get money. They want that profit. They don't want to look at what the industry needs or what that person needs for that specific job. And that's something that he could go to the factory and say, look, yes, we are manufacturing this, but this certain project needs this special size, and we can offer that.
Right.
And so we were able to offer that at a very, young portion of the company when we were restructuring it. And that, I feel, built that trust, and we were able to gain the architects, the designers, the homeowners, the contractors, and pull them from the other industries that they were using before, and they came to Marmiro. And then he was at the job sites all the time, and they're like, you're the owner of the company and you're here?
Who is this guy?
Like,
yeah.
why are you here?
Yeah.
Because everybody that steps into Marmiro has a passion for it. Whether you're in accounting, or whether you're, at the job sites helping out, or whether you're in the warehouse packaging, like, no matter what, everybody has a part in the company to make it where it is. It's not just one person that stands out. Yes, he's like the visionary of the company, but he allows everybody to have that ownership within the company, and that's what allows us to grow.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you're getting things going, getting things rolling, things are clicking, you're selling more people are coming aboard, more employees. There was another devastation that happened.
Oh, yeah.
Hurricane.
Right?
Yeah.
Hurricane Sandy. Why is there a hurricane that comes to New Jersey you know, you moved into a new building recently, right? And then all of a sudden you think you're safe, and you have how many crates and hundreds of crates in two buildings? Two buildings. So you're growing at a pretty good clip at this point. This is what, 2012, right? Yeah.
2 years into, like, and then 2 years into me coming, like, to New Jersey market, and then, like, Heidi moving, like, a year after Heidi moved with the kids, we come back from Kentucky H&A show.
Right.
So in Louisville, we just, like, had an amazing show. We had the largest booth, like, of our whole history. Like, we invested heavily, like, all our profits from previous sales. And then we took our team there, and then I think we were like 5 or 6 of us, and then gorgeous booth, and then all hard work, and then just, like, we got a lot of leads, a lot of attention, a lot of, like, interest. We came back, our truck came back Sunday, and then, like, Monday we woke up and then everything was gone. So Sunday we parked.
And we
the
say
truck,
gone, just flooded.
everything was gone.
Flooded.
Wow.
The levee broke in Meadowlands, and then one of our building got 6 feet water, and then the other one had 2 feet water, and then that was the Hudson River mixed with sewage. So
And that was the time when you were still doing paperwork. Like nothing was scanned.
Yeah.
Nothing was saved on like the clouds.
Yeah.
Like, everything.
There was no cloud.
There was no cloud.
Yeah.
There was nothing.
there was cloud, but it was a different cloud.
Yeah.
It was the real cloud.
But you had servers, right? But they were like just internal, like nothing was.
Yeah, but nothing was
stored on there.
scanned. Like all
And
the
also,
paperwork we
New
had
Jersey
was
like-
everywhere.
New Jersey
Yeah.
was like not a place. I mean, when they said a hurricane is coming, like, protect your stuff. I mean, all we did was like take the servers and then put them on
the desks.
on the desks that are like 3-4 feet higher,
Like
30
this high.
inches higher.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they
They were
we're
gone.
and we're coming from Florida. And it's in New Jersey. Like,
Yeah.
just so people are saying, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm putting the computers up." And they're like, "Just leave it. Let's go. Like, this is New Jersey."
Yeah.
Nobody thought that anything was going to happen.
Yeah.
But the next morning when we wake up, when, we realized that it was just like, when we woke up, we realized that it just like the levee broke, and then we wanted to get into our building. I called the alarm company, was like calling us and saying that we lost signal. We called the officials, and then like they said, don't expect to come to this neighborhood for another like 3 days.
Wow. So you couldn't even
And
see the building.
And he said like, don't even, like to worry about someone breaking into your property because you probably don't have anything left because we had a big flood. So it took us like to another level because some of our team members lost their homes in Hoboken, and they lost also their like private belongings and then all their lives in home, and then also at Marmiro. But it united us, and then it made us a lot stronger. So this was the second, big obstacle that we had to go through, which was I see these any difficulties in life as a test. Like that you're always tested in life, whether individually or as a team. And then that obstacle was given to us as like another level of like, like the test. And then and we passed it. The team got together and just like with Heidi's leadership, like that we started cleaning the sewage product, like the sewage, like, and then, like the Hudson River mixed waters, like from our building.
Mm-hmm.
And then construction started. And then I think for 2.5 months, we couldn't do any revenue because we had to first prepare the building again. And then like, so we could operate.
Wow.
And we had to buy everything new, like from your computers to forklifts to, and so on. Outdoor products didn't get damaged. They got stained, like they got dirty. We had to wash all the crates and things like that. It wasn't that bad, but the interior products that had the mesh and the epoxy, the mosaics, and then like certain products, they were basically like, damaged. And then all the electronics and all the mechanical equipment, they're all gone because it was salt water too. So, and we ended up getting on our feet again. And then, just like the team made it happen again. So
you still have from those days. You still have some team members that are still that were a part of that. That are still here, right?
Oh, we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we do. Yeah. And we have at least 4 or 5 of us. We remember those days. When we look at each other's eyes, we know how far it goes back.
Along with a coconut.
Yeah.
a coconut.
A coconut.
Oh, the coconut's in your
the
office.
Coconut. Yes, that's from the hurricane.
Is it really?
Yeah, I
Yes.
found it in our office.
I never asked where that came from. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah. And
No,
when
I
you
have a-
shake it, it's got sand inside.
Does it
it's
really?
Hurricane Sandy, yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I still keep it.
Just came to my head.
Yeah, that was 2012. Then what happened is like I said, we're gonna just like we had two ways, like hire professionals. We didn't have the money.
Mm-hmm.
Hire, young talent with good heart, not even a talent, good-hearted people, and then sell them the idea, the vision, and have them believe in you, and then just follow you. It's just like, and then when I was telling them the importance of labels, the importance of branding, the importance of like doing certain things and standard packaging styles, and then like the customer service, and things like that, and then like some people were looking at me like, is he okay? Like, is he like just like is he flying again? And then like because I was always just like judged by like flying too high. But I mean, like when I told them that we're going to be one of the biggest brands in natural stone industry, that should be our vision. We should impact people's lives positively, and then like let's build a home that people miss. Let's not just like make it a workplace and things like that. Like the I think Heidi was a big factor because like when they see Heidi like being next to me and then like believing in me, they said, okay, like I mean, even if he's out of his mind, talking about building mobile showrooms and things like that, turning trailers into like stone galleries and so on, like like, but his wife is right there, and then like there's someone like normal who's also like right there at all times. It's like it's not one, it's like two. So and then little by little they understood because their lifestyle was increasing. If they were making like minimum wage, now they were making a lot more every quarter or every year. Their pay increase was going up, and then the company was growing. We were buying equipment, we were having interesting ideas and so on, and then new team members were coming in. And now we started building a culture. The culture was based on our core values, and then it shaped us, and then like we just basically started like creating this very healthy, like open, and then just like home environment where like it's called a chosen family. That was it. So we chose people to join our family. We didn't hire employees to make us make money.
Yeah.
So it was just the biggest difference. And then, but because we didn't have the funds, I couldn't go to, like yours truly, like or like people like you in the industry, like who was like very talented, but they were like high paid, like the people because they had like a great experience prior to Marmiro. We didn't have that funding. We couldn't, like it was impossible because there were so many buckets to fill before even we get to that one. The machines were more important, the product was more important, like the logistics was more important because people experienced didn't see us serious.
Right.
So the beauty is like, I think luckily like through Heidi's connections in town now that we had some friends and loved ones in that town, and then we were like networking, and then we were meeting great people, great individuals and families in New Jersey. We found like Christina, Dana, like like the Benito, like all these names, but I mean like we found very unique individual people that just like decided to stay with us and said, okay, I'm not happy, or like I have some problems. This is not what I love doing, and then I'll believe you. I believe you. I'm gonna join you, and then we all made everything happen at the same time. And I think that's when we started proving the industry that we do have everything it takes to succeed and make a change in people's lives, and we're here to learn, and then we make mistakes, but we like the inexperienced group of people, we're hungry for information, but all we needed was seasoned people.
Yeah, I
think your chapter started, like you joining us was the big turn in this company, and I will always remember, like, because you were the first one that truly said, this is it. And I guarantee you a lot of people in the industry was shocked that you were still with us a few years later, because it's just like they all probably thought that you were not going to be happy. Because when they look at us from outside, it was always just like a different Mediterranean mentality. You want to name it Turkish mentality. You want to name it like the foreign mentality, but coming in here with no experience, trying to just do something very big, and then just like looking big, acting like big, but inside was like there wasn't industry leaders, well-respected people in the industry, like supporting that brand. The only support was from inside. It was all us, and then the contractors that we knew. But when you go to like an H&A show or like big pool and spa show, when people were walking from different regions and different parts of the industry, they didn't know anyone that was, like that they knew. They didn't see anyone familiar. It was all Dana, Mo, Christina, or like, you know, from New Jersey, from a small company, from a small region. So I think when you just like believed in us, and then like you say you called us that day, and I remember that day you were, it's so funny you were telling it in the beginning. You know, I said to everyone, I talked to our business partners and the whole team in Turkey, and then they said, New Jersey is great, we're doing great, but in the winter it's slowing down. We need like a southern market. Can we open up anywhere south that's just not going to have tough winters? And then I said, not this year. In a few years, we're going to do it. So when the right time came, I probably met you a few years before, but it wasn't the right time because like 2 years into it or so, I just like one day I said, this is it now. I have to just like, you know, make a move in North Carolina. I called a recruiting company and I said, can you come to our building today? I want to talk to you. So they came in. I remember like a couple, and then they both sat down in front of me and they said, what are you looking for? And I said, I'm looking for minimum 5 years of experience in hardscape industry. I said, I want them to live in North Carolina, Durham or Raleigh, if like, you know, somewhere in that area if possible. And then I said, it's just like, you know, they're going to work from home and they're going to be an outside person. So it's just like outside sales, not an office job. So they said, okay, we have great, you know, like the resources. We can get you a couple of people. Like, don't worry about it. Like, you know, give us like 2-3 days and we're going to start, you know, like basically sending you some options. And I said, thank you so much. We just ended the meeting. I'm walking to my office and then just Dana comes to me and says like, look at this. And then she shows me
Happened
her phone.
that fast?
And she shows me her phone.
Wow.
And then she says, and then she shows me her phone. And then she says, your wish came true. And I'm like, what is it? Says Mike Carey just like, you know, reached out to me on LinkedIn or another social media channel and then said, you know, like the I remember like the owners of your company, and then, you know, like I had an amazing conversation. I liked them very much. I'm looking for an opportunity. Like, do you guys have any opportunity for me? And then she showed me what you texted her. And then I'm like, I said, this is him. I said, it's him. And then I told the team to contact the recruiting company, apologize, and then say, never mind. And then I said, we found the one. I don't want to see anybody else that day. So when you came and when I picked you up from the airport, I knew you were the one.
No.
It sounds like a marriage. I'm like, wow.
Yes.
I mean,
Because I didn't have any B plans.
Yeah.
Because I canceled the other plan. I knew you were the one. Because sometimes, I mean, it happened with my wife too. Sometimes, you know, you got to see the opportunities in front of you and you got to get the message. You know what I mean? Like it was so well organically developing story that it was just like, it was, you had to be blind not to see it. And then when you came, we went to dinner that night with all of us, with Heidi and all of us. And then like,
I remember that.
and then the history is made. And I think I thank you for that, because when you just like trusted us, and then like when you said, yes, I will follow you. Yes, I will be next to you. I won't even follow you. I'll hold your hand and then walk with you side by side. You know, like I think it just like the industry said, okay, this might be a different band. Okay, maybe they treat them nice. Maybe they do give benefits. Maybe you can have a long-term plan with this company. Maybe it's not a waste of their life, because every year you came to the trade show with us, I think it was a sign to all the new additions of our team members that this was a happy place. And then, you know, because at the end of the day, I couldn't sell that. Somebody else had to just create that story. And I think like, and I'm looking back right now in 25 years, including Heidi, one of the biggest, you know, like the story creators like in this company because of her support. And then like, you know, you and then Benito, like, you know, I look at the stories that we built to prove people that this is a place that you can miss, and then you will miss, and then you're going to create beautiful relationships, and you're going to be able to come here and say, I need help. It doesn't matter what you go through in life. We can just still be there for you. And then it's just like, it's not, yes, it is it stressful? 100%. But I think it's just like, no matter what, we're not scared of anything. We just like go over every obstacle all together. And we've proven that so many times, which was with you during COVID. You know, it just like, it was the third disaster. I don't want to call it a disaster. It was an experience, like the third experience, that obstacle that we had in life, which was like after the financial meltdown, and then like the Hurricane Sandy. And the third one was the COVID. I think we're all here in this room right now. You know, it's just like we were like bonded like so strong during COVID as a team that just like nothing could stop us. It's just like we didn't have fear. We didn't have any worries. And we just like ran it like as one, which was amazing.
Yep.
And I still feel like even when we're talking about like it's been 25 years, like, I mean, I don't even feel like I've been with the company for 23 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy because it still feels like we're trying to be better every single day,
sure.
that we're not just at a plateau. And that's what I love about this is that we're all just wanting more success in regards to making the industry different, getting our designs out there, the factory working with us to get new products. You know, now we have Emre and Etta coming into play because they graduated from college and now they're at the factory and they're putting their ideas in and they're, you know, young and have like great things that are coming in. So it's just so inspiring, I guess, just every single word that you want to put in there that's inspiring, knowing that they have their energy now coming here and we have our energy coming here and everybody who just wants to bring something new to this industry. And so it's never a dull moment that we're just like, okay, we've had success and we're just going to stay here. Like we want to be better. We want to see what's new. We want to, you know, make sure that we're doing what we can out there.
Yeah, because we're, I've said it to somebody recently. So you have multiple levels in business, right? Where you hit a ceiling, and you got to break through that ceiling, hit another ceiling, break through it, break through, break through. You got to continue to break through those ceilings to get to the next level and grow. And right now, we're at a point where we're breaking through another ceiling. And like you said, we're never satisfied with staying. We can continue to do what we're doing. We'll be successful, but I feel like it's not going to drive us. Doesn't drive the passion. The passion is to make difference in people's lives. Because you guys have unique's not even the right word. It's an uncanny way of attracting people to the company, finding people. And I feel like most of the people go through life and they're blinded or they don't see. Their eyes aren't wide open. You guys' hearts are wide open. Your eyes are wide open all the time. And because of that, and because of the belief and the energy that not only you guys have together, but the energy that you guys release to other people, you're so welcoming. I feel that it's such an easy attractiveness to other people to come join. And then when you ask for something, usually comes true. I mean, it's kind of like we say it's like the Marmiro way or something like that, right? It just sort of happens, and you know we can sit here for another hour and talk about all the experiences that's happened, and some extremely recent, right? Just the past week. So I want to thank you guys for creating that environment because. You know, when we all look at this stuff and people watch this, and when people meet you for the first time, you leave an impression.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're gonna stick to our core values and continue. And then, like you said, you know, no stopping, just moving forward. You know, like our core values, just like you know, like the biggest goal in life is just like the number 5 core value we have, which says, you know, just like work as a team to leave legacy, like so to create legacy. So we have to just like do that. You know, we have to continue and just like I think that this is one of the best teams in the world, most likely. It just from the time that we got together and then the things we went through, and then just like you know, and the way we matured as a family, and then just now going into different. You know, like levels in life and different, you know, like the stages in life. I think just like we're gonna attract more like-minded people, because just like this is our home, and I see it you also like that, and everybody in the company that they see it as their home now. And just like you know, it's we were much stronger than 10 years ago. You know, in the beginning it was very difficult because there was like sometimes I was a minority. Heidi and we were minorities, and we were trying to convince people, sell the idea, build the culture. But I think now it's just like, you know, I think we matured big time in terms of like, you know, culture and core values. And I think once you have that, then sky is the limit, because just like if you don't forget your core values and if you stay loyal to your core values, then they just stop you making mistakes anyways. It's just like, and because everything is there, and then like any question you have, you ask, and then it tells you what to do.
Yeah.
So I enjoy them, and then I think it's just like, it is nothing but a joy to live my life this way with the team that we have.
Yeah. And we came up with the core values as a team, which was, I've never been a part of that. So that was extremely exciting.
Yeah, I tell the story like a lot when I travel to other companies, and then I was like in South Carolina last week, and then the great family business, small size. It reminded me of us from the past, and then just we were talking, and then they were like talking to me about like how they love their like team members, and then how they're great and things like that. I'm like, do you have any core values? He said, yes, we do. I'm like, do you know them? He said, what do you mean? I said, do you have set core values that you know that you can just like like stick to it? And then he said, yeah, we do. Like, I'm like, no, can you tell me those? And he said, no, yeah, but I mean, we're good people. I said, no. I said, I'm telling you, like, do you know each one? And then do you live every day following your core values? And he said, no. And I told him the story about like Zappos, and then like the Vegas company when we visited, and how I was just like shocked about like the 1,200 team members living and working together in one building in Vegas, and then like 7-story building. And every question I challenged them, every question that I asked was like based on like a core value. And I was shocked. Like I came back and I said like we're like back then we were 30 of us or 40 of us, and then I said like what is our core values? Mine was different than maybe Heidi's. Heidi's might be different than priorities were different. It's just like the words were different, the sentences were different. So
I remember we had like 50 sentences and words like on the whiteboard.
Yeah, it took us like I took the conference room, and then I bought the largest whiteboards two side by side.
He loves the whiteboards.
And then I just like created a huge wall from a whiteboard, and then I just divided into two, and then I said, anybody can come and write anything that they want, even if it's negative words, it's okay. If you're liars, word the right. If you're dishonest, say sometimes we're dishonest, but I want words. And then the whole company started in Spanish and in English, different words that they just thought who we were and what made us who we are. Not different than other people, not, pluses, negatives also. And I wanted to see on a wall. Yeah. And then 6 months into it, and I said like, okay, perfect. I said, now whoever wants to create, you're bored, you're working, you can take a break, come into this room, take the words, and then just create sentences, but simple, straightforward, easy to remember, and then just line them up. So we started playing like that. And then it took us almost a year to just like truly understand, and then just like put it together, and then limit it by 5, and then like put it on every location that we have, as you know. And then just like, and then during onboarding process, telling the new candidate that if this is not you, if this is not the journey that you want to live, this is not the place for you. That's it. And I think it just helps me big time. Like I love spending time with the new hires and the new team members, show them the core values, give them an example. And then also somebody very wise told me that for a core value to be a core value, you have to prove that you lost money for it. So you can't just say like my core value is do the right thing if you cannot prove that one day you did the right thing and you lost money. Because everybody thinks that they're doing the right thing, but did you lose money for any of your core values? So when I do, like I change the system also, when I talk about our core values for new candidates, I just like tell them, look, this is the core value that we have, and I want to give you an example. And then in many cases, we've followed these steps, and then like financially we get hurt, but it doesn't matter because it is our core value. So I think it's just like our culture is very strong, and then like I said, after we open up to the rest of the country, long distance relationships, which was like amazing. A lot more qualified, great individuals joined us, as you know, each one of them in different parts of the country. And then I think we're continuing every day.
So we're up to what, 75 employees now?
72.
72 here in the U.S. And
actually now 73.
73, yes, that's right.
73 here, and then like, between 200 and 300 in Turkey.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't see the scale because, we're so spread out, and they see like local markets at times, right? So
And we stay humble.
Yeah.
You know, we really do.
That's another core value.
That's why I said it.
We have to stay grateful and humble at all
Yeah.
times.
Yes.
Our third core value. So we have to be humble and then grateful at all times. It doesn't matter what size, where, who, when, what. We got to be grateful and humble.
Yep.
And I think that's what takes us so far too, you know, because I still get shocked when people are like, oh, you're Marmiro, like this is Marmiro. Oh, I want Marmiro. And now it's that brand, you know, and now they're calling us and saying, we want Marmiro. We don't know what Marmiro we want, but they say we want Marmiro.
Yep.
So it's just humbling that it's there, you know, it came from his garage with him and Too Good working on it together to this level that it's at right now, you know, like all the family members now getting involved, you know, it's just
The beauty is that what makes it very special is from start to finish, it's the same family. It makes a huge story behind it. It's just like, you know, like when you go to restaurants, if they say from farm to table, you're ready to pay more,
Yeah.
right? That's how I feel. You know, it's just like at the end of the day, if I know that it's from farm to table and then I'm just literally helping someone who just truly, you know, was working for that and then, you know, growing that or like, you know, raising that, like whatever the process is. But at the end of the day, if you know that it is coming from like the farm to your table, it just means a lot. You know, it's just like it gives a lot of confidence to the consumer, no matter what you're consuming at that point.
Yep.
So it's just like you feel safer, you feel more connected. You feel like you have more love, and then I don't know why, but I mean, like I feel like the food and then the product that I'm buying is reflecting a lot more positive feelings.
That's right.
And then hard work and things like that, and it's just like American dream, you know, like if you can add all of those amazing emotional feelings when you get like, you know, when you see the sentence from farm to table. So the same thing like in our industry, if you look at it, like from the quarry, like the sad and the good stories, with the goods and the bads, and then like, you know, tough times and the good times. There's hundreds of people are sweating every single day up in those mountains trying to cut a piece of Mother Nature, and then just like, you know, process it, and then in cold and winter months. And you've been to Turkey with me, like, you know, you witnessed everything. Like, you know, it's just like very, very tough conditions.
Oof.
And then to just like bring it to the table, and then like, you know, so that it meets our standards. Then we pack them, we ship them, and then we stock them and we fabricate them if it's necessary. And then just like we just prepare it and we deliver it with love and just like, you know, with our core values. I think like when you build this whole story from the quarry to your project, it becomes just like much more meaningful to anyone rather than going to a tile store and then buying like, you know, 5 boxes of tiles that you don't know where it's coming from. You know, it's just like I think this is what makes us like unique in the industry, because just like a lot of group of passionate, very amazing hearted people got together in the United States and also in Turkey, and then it's balanced, it's a strong bridge, and everything is pure, and that's what's I think special about Marmiro. And when we make mistakes, we go and then we stand in front of people and we apologize and we fix the mistake.
Yep.
That's it. I think that's what the market needs.
Yeah, and it keeps the trust there with people, right? Because knowing that, you know, not only your core values, but knowing that farm to table experience, that Marmiro experience is always going to be there because you have the people to love the passion and everything is behind it. So, yeah, I mean, the journey that we called this the story, but to be honest with you, it's more of, you know, a continued journey because we're still on the journey to create that legacy.
Yep.
So I want to thank you guys for creating that home, that environment, and the love for what we have here. So the next chapter, I mean, you always talked about writing a book. I think we're getting ready to start the next chapter, right? So I think
chapter 20.
whatever it is.
So being a part of it.
Yeah, this is incredible.
Be the same without you.
Yeah, no, this is fun, and being and I know that you're reluctant to, you know, do this a little bit today, but it's truly heartfelt when people hear your guys' story and the ups and downs that you came through, and looking back at all that, knowing what you guys pulled through, building a family, being away from the family, moving the family, 3 different types of disasters, and
And
still
working together every single day,
still
living together,
still
so
calling
married.
you your soulmate.
Thank you.
We love you guys. I
Thank
hope
you,
you
thank
guys
you.
got a
Love
lot
you
out
guys
of this
too.
today.
Thanks
And
for having us.
yeah,
Thank
this
you.
is we'll write the next chapter.
Sounds
Thank
good.